Have you ever wondered why a simple pause can change everything? Why someone's words feel more powerful after a fleeting silence, as if they've reached deeper into your thoughts before they even spoke? In a world where most people rush to respond, the subtle art of delay can feel almost hypnotic. Beneath every conversation, there is an unspoken rhythm, and those who master its beat seem to control more than just the moment. This is the quiet secret of persuasion, the tiny delay that bends attention in ways most will never see. People often assume persuasion is about being louder, faster, or more charismatic. They rarely recognize that silence, especially an intentional one, can shift how someone hears you. It's not the words themselves that always matter most. It's the weight you give them by pausing at the right time. This tendency to lean into quiet is not random. Humans learned long ago that those who speak slowly and thoughtfully seem more trustworthy and credible. Research in social psychology points to what's called temporal influence, the way small hesitations impact how authority is perceived. In our early tribal past, those who rushed their speech were often inexperienced or reactive, while those who paused projected control, patience, and strength. Even today, in a world of noise and immediacy, our brains still register this subtle delay as a signal that someone is deliberate and sure of themselves. Could that tiny moment between words really shape someone's beliefs, their decisions, even their emotions? It already is. Have you ever noticed the way someone listens more closely after you hesitate mid-sentence? The reason this happens lies in an almost invisible psychological pull. Tension? Silence, even brief, breeds a subtle tension that people instinctively want to resolve. If you want someone to pay attention, you don't necessarily need to increase your volume or make your words flashier. You need to make them wait. Think of a salesperson who lowers their voice and hesitates before stating the price, forcing you to lean in, almost physically drawn, toward them. That pause is not empty. It's charged with anticipation, making the listener invest more attention and energy into what comes next. Even experienced negotiators and trial lawyers use this. They know that a 1 or 2 second delay before answering a key question can make their reply sound measured and absolute, and that anticipation is what makes their words stick. Consider the last time someone paused before telling you something important. Maybe it was a partner choosing the perfect words, a boss delivering difficult feedback, or a friend sharing a secret they hesitated to reveal. Those tiny silences pulled you in, heightened your focus. The pause didn't feel like a gap. It felt like a wait. Studies show that people often rate speakers who pause as more credible, more thoughtful, and even more likable. Psychologists call this the hesitation credibility effect. When someone appears to search for words, just briefly enough, listeners perceive them as more genuine. It's counterintuitive in a world that rewards speed, but sincerity is often measured in careful breaths. Would you believe someone more if they rushed their response, or would you feel they hadn't thought at all? Silence is rarely empty. And this is where the tiny delay becomes most powerful. When it subtly manipulates how your audience feels, timing is everything. Research from Princeton University into conversational dynamics found that even a fraction of a second pause can cause people to reassess a speaker's authority and trustworthiness. The listener's brain responds to that moment as though they rehearing someone who is choosing their words carefully, someone who respects the impact of language. That quiet break makes their next statement feel heavier, more serious. Politicians, actors, and therapists have perfected this pause. It's often rehearsed, learned by watching others who command attention without a raised voice. Even children instinctively notice that a parent who speaks slowly, thoughtfully, and with a subtle delay after each question is someone to take seriously. The darker truth is that most people never realize how deeply this shapes their decisions. Have you considered that the power of a pause extends beyond one-on-one interactions? Leaders who practice these delays can shape entire rooms. Imagine a public speaker who holds the crowd in suspense after a key point, allowing a few beats of silence before continuing. That deliberate pause floods the moment with significance. It forces the audience to reflect on what was just said, drawing their thoughts inward before they can move on. Researchers who study rhetoric have long noted that these pauses also activate our emotional centers. The silence invites us to fill the space with our own thoughts, which bonds us more closely to the speaker's message. It's an almost hypnotic rhythm, a power most will never understand, let alone harness. But those who do understand it rarely need to compete for attention. The silence itself does the work. And it's not just public figures who wield this subtle influence. Even in personal relationships, a carefully placed delay can shift the emotional tone. Picture a friend revealing a painful truth, but pausing before they say the most important part. That silence deepens the gravity of what follows. Psychologists who specialize in attachment theory suggest that these kinds of conversational hesitations mimic early bonding behaviors, tiny pauses that allow children to process emotions and caregivers to respond gently. In adulthood, they evoke a sense of safety and authenticity. It's why someone who speaks with measured patience can feel like a safe harbor in a storm. And someone who never hesitates can feel shallow or reckless. Silence isn't nothing. It's an invitation to feel. And here's the twist most never realize. You can take this same skill and turn it inward. Learning to embrace a deliberate pause when you read under pressure can make you feel less reactive and more in control of your own thoughts. Practicing a moment of delay before you answer a difficult question or respond to an accusation can shift your inner balance as much as it affects others. Psychologists at the University of Chicago have shown that simply taking a short breath before making a tough decision reduces impulsive errors and increases confidence in the outcome. The pause shapes you as much as it shapes them. Power doesn't just belong to those who speak last. It belongs to those who know when to wait. The good news is that these tiny silences are available to anyone. They don't require charm, intellect, or a booming voice. Only awareness, the willingness to slow down long enough for the moment to settle before you speak. Practicing these delays will feel unnatural at first, especially if you're used to rushing to fill every empty space. But you'll soon recognize the subtle shift they create in every conversation. You'll notice people leaning in. You'll feel your own words gain weight. And most importantly, you'll reclaim a sense of calm control in a world that often rewards frantic noise over measured thought. That is what the tiny delay offers. A quiet power that reminds you that not everything needs to be rushed, and that sometimes the most influential thing you can do is simply wait. And the next time someone speaks slowly, with a deliberate pause before they continue, listen carefully. They know exactly what they're doing. Protect your energy. Stay curious. Subscribe for more from Beneath the Cortex.